Are you gonna get up on the bed? Up on the bed. Come on. Come on. Up. Up. Athena, up. Athena, come on, girl. Athena, come. Never mind. Alright. Thought I was going to have a dog with us tonight, but apparently not. Alright. Athena, come on. I see your tail. Aurora, hey. Oh, a twofer. Oh, no. Just one. No, come back. Come back. There we go, good girl. There we go. Hi. Hi. Yes. Hi. Yeah. No, that was it? Alright. We'll get her up here eventually. Yeah. Okay. You ready? So, let's see where we left off yesterday. We are at crossing the sea from Exodus chapter 14, verses 10 through chapter 16, verses 10. Oh, that's convenient. Okay. Ooh, these pages. This book is so old. Pharaoh and his army look at the Hebrews camped beside the Red Sea. Trapped, just as I said. Good. They'll soon see who is mightier, Pharaoh or the God they worship. At the same time, in the Hebrew camp, I'd rather serve the Egyptians than die this way. Fear not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord. The Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see no more. As Moses speaks, the cloud that leads them moves to the back of the camp. Look, the cloud is hiding us from the Egyptians. Then Moses holds out his hand, as God has told him. A strong east wind blows all night and rolls back the waters of the sea. Awed by the sight, the Hebrews rushed joyfully across the path in the sea. Pharaoh charges, but the Hebrew camp is empty. The Egyptians race out across the sea floor. The sand clogs their chariot wheels. In terror, they try to turn back, but the wind dies and the waters return. All of Pharaoh's men are caught in the rushing sea. Safe on the other side, Hebrews look back. God has saved us. I'll never again doubt that Moses was sent by God to save us from the Egyptians. Do you think we can maybe pause Elmo and Thomas a little bit? No? Alright. Oh, shoot. Joyfully, the Hebrews celebrate God's deliverance. The tribes descended from Jacob, Israel, are a free people, ready to form a new nation. Hey, it's story time now, okay? You can be a little bit quiet. What language is Thomas talking, by the way? Miriam, Moses' sister, leads the women's chorus singing praises to God. The Lord is my strength and song. He is my salvation. Sing to the Lord. From the Red Sea, the Israelites march across the desert. But after days of travel, they forget what God has done for them, and they begin to complain. I'm thirsty. 3 days and no water in sight. At last they find a spring, but it's bitter. We can't drink this. We'll all die of thirst. Moses prays to God for help. God points out a tree. Moses throws it into the spring. Now taste the water and know the power of God. It's pure now. God has saved us again. Now I know that God is guiding Moses. As if the giant water walkway wasn't enough. With renewed faith, the people continue their journey. Bless you, my goodness. As they travel across the hot sands, their thoughts are of the homeland God has promised them. They dream of green fields, fresh streams, great flocks. But there is no food in the desert. The people grow hungry. They forget that God cared for them when they were most thirsty. Angrily, they go to Moses and Aaron. Look, our food is gone. How can we feed our children? Have you brought us out here in the wilderness to starve us to death? They are ungrateful, aren't they? By evening, you will know who brought you here. All right, attacked. From Exodus chapter 16, verses 11 through 17. That evening, great flocks of quail drop into the camp. Birds, thousands of them. Food enough for everyone. Moses was right. God sent the quail to feed us. God is leading us. Yes, only God could save us from starving. Never again will I doubt God's power and guidance. Like the famous last words. Early the next morning, the people are surrounded by a strange whitish covering on the ground. Hi. Ew. Yeah. What is it? It looks like frost. It is manna, food that God has sent you. How good God is to us. Gather what you need for this day only. How can I be sure there will be more tomorrow? I better collect all I can. See, I'll put this extra aside for tomorrow. No matter what happens to the others, we will not go hungry. But the next morning, it is spoiled. I see now. Moses warned us we must have faith that God will take care of us. On the 6th day of the week, the people gather food for that day in the Sabbath. The food kept for the Sabbath does not spoil, neither does it appear on the ground on the Sabbath. With renewed faith in God, the Israelites continue their journey. As they travel toward Mount Sinai, where Moses was called by God to set them free from slavery, Moses sends his wife and 2 sons on ahead to visit their old home. Tell your father Jethro what God has done for our people. Farther on, while the Israelites camp in a peaceful valley, fierce tribesmen watch from the hills. But the Israelites' sentinels see the dangers. Raiders, prepare for an attack! Moses calls up his fighting men. Joshua, choose our best soldiers and fight off these raiders. I'll stand on top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. The battle rages all day. Joshua's soldiers know that God has helped Moses lead them. As long as they see Moses with his rod raised, they trust in God and have the courage to fight bravely. But when Moses' weary arms drop, the Israelite soldiers are afraid and retreat before the savage attack of the raiders. The mountain trembles. From Exodus chapter 17, verse 12 through 19, verse 20. Look, Moses is holding the rod of God above us. Fight, men, we cannot fail. High on the hill, Aaron and Hur are holding up Moses' tired arms. When the Israelite soldiers see the rod, they take courage and renew the fight. God gives them the victory. At sunset, Joshua's men return victorious. Hail the victors! Give your praise to God, for without his help, we would have failed. Then Moses builds an altar. He leads his people in a prayer of thanksgiving to God. Fresh from their first military victories, the Israelites eagerly push on. Only a few weeks ago, we were slaves in Egypt. Now we are free men, strong enough to defend ourselves. When we get to the promised land, we'll build a nation mightier than Egypt. When they reach the wilderness of Mount Sinai, Moses sets up camp. That's good. One day, a messenger brings him good news. Your father-in-law Jethro, your wife and sons are on their way to see you. Moses goes out at once to meet them. How glad I am to see you. I have been hearing the wonderful things God has done for you and your people. Proudly, Moses shows Jethro around the camp. As the days go by, Jethro makes some keen observations. This is wrong. I must speak to Moses at once. Moses, you cannot serve as judge to all these people. Teach them what they should do. Then appoint good men to help you judge them. Moses takes his father-in-law's advice. You are right. This gives me more time to teach my people about God. Soon after this, Moses goes up the mountain to talk with God. When he returns, he has news for his people. Prepare yourself, for on the third day the Lord will come down in sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. On the morning of the third day, thunder rolls across the sky, lightning flashes, and the sound of a trumpet fills the air. It is the signal to leave camp. Stay behind me. Do not go beyond the bounds Moses has set for us. Moses says if we even touch the mountain, we will die. Commandments of God. From Exodus 20 through 32, verse 19. While the people of Israel stand before Mount Sinai, God speaks from the mountain and gives them the 10 Commandments. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not covet anything that is thy neighbor's. God gives Moses more laws, and when these are written down, Moses builds an altar. He and his people make an agreement or covenant with God. All that the Lord hath said we will do, the people promise. Later, God calls Moses to come again to Mount Sinai. Joshua goes part way with him. Days pass, and Moses does not return. When is Moses coming back? Can we go look for him? We don't know, but you must not follow him up the mountain. He is alone with God. Who knows? Maybe Moses isn't coming back. If he doesn't, what will we do? Let's ask Aaron to make us a statue that we can worship. Yes, we want a God we can see. Feeling lost without their leader, the people forget God's commandments and their promise to worship him only. They bring their jewelry to Aaron, who melts it and makes a gold statue of the calf. It looks like a god our neighbors worshipped in Egypt. Tomorrow will be a feast day. We will worship our God then. Early the next morning, the people bring their offerings to the altar before the golden calf. They eat and drink and dance with joy. But while the people are celebrating, Moses comes down the mountain with the tablet on which God has written the 10 Commandments. On the way, he meets Joshua. Listen, Moses, the sounds like war in our camp. No, I hear singing, don't you? Moses is angry when he sees what the people are doing. How dare you cheat God? You promised to worship him only, but already you are worshiping the statue of a calf. Death to an idol. From Exodus 32, verse 20 through 40, verse 17. Shocked by the sight of Moses breaking the stone tablets, the people stop worshiping the golden calf. What will Moses do to us? Aaron, where did you get this idol? The people gave me their gold. I threw it into a fire, and out came this golden calf. Throw it back into the fire. When the gold-covered idol is burned, Moses grinds it into powder and throws it into a stream. Now, drink the water, all of you. Drink it. It tastes awful. Oh, it will make us sick. Let this be a lesson to you. Remember what you have done while I go back up the mountain and ask God to forgive you. High on the mountain, where he had received God's commandments, Moses kneels to pray. Lord, you will please forgive them. But if not, punish me too. God does forgive his people. Moses spends 40 days on the mountain, while God gives him more laws and writes the 10 Commandments, again on 2 new tablets of stone. Back in camp, people pray for Moses' safe return. But when they see him coming down the mountain, they are afraid. Can we clap a little quieter? Thank you. It's Moses. Look at his face. It has a brightness like the sunlight. The glory of having been with God shines on Moses' face. He covers his face with a veil so that the people will not be frightened. Come, do not be afraid. God has forgiven you. And he has given me plans for a tent house of worship. Bring your offerings, and we will all work together to make it. The people gladly bring jewelry, cloth, skins, rare metals, and wood so that God's house will be beautiful. The tabernacle. From Exodus 40, verses 18 to 38, and Leviticus 1 through 10, verse 2. After many weeks of careful, loving work, the house of God, the tabernacle, is ready. Joyously, the people watch as Moses carries the sacred ark containing the 10 Commandments into the tabernacle. He places it in a special room called the Holy of Holies. Then a cloud covers the tabernacle, and the glory of the Lord fills it. Now the Israelites are no longer a mob of fleeing slaves. In the 1 year since they left Egypt, they have become a nation with laws, judges, and a place of worship. Fire and camp. From Numbers, chapter 10 through chapter 11, verse 2. Excitement spreads through the camp as the people talk more and more about the promised land to which God is leading them. One day, the blast of 2 great silver trumpets fills the air. This is a signal for all the people to come to the tabernacle. Something important must be happening. The people drop what they are doing and hurry to the tabernacle. Does this mean we are going to move? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Orders come from God. When everyone has gathered, look, the cloud is lifting. A sign has been given. Eagerly the people line up for the march toward the promised land. Leading them is the sacred ark carried by the priests. High on a hilltop, Moses watches as the march gets underway. God is leading us, so we have nothing to fear. Moses is right. They have nothing to fear. And even though they marched through a wilderness, God continues to provide manna for them to eat. But after several days, the people begin to complain again. How long have we been eating this stuff? I'm getting tired of it. Don't we have anything else to eat? No, I keep thinking about the melons and meat we had in Egypt. How good they would taste. Family divided. From Numbers 11, verse 2 to 12, verse 10. When fire breaks out in the Israelite camp, the people quickly forget their complaint about food and try to beat back the flames. Did God send the lightning to burn our tents? Maybe it's a warning for us to stop our grumbling about the food He has given us. Help us, Moses. The whole camp will be lost. Only God can help you now. I'll pray for you. And as Moses prays, the fire goes out. Look, the fire is out. I saw it with my own eyes. Moses prayed, the fire died out. From now on, I won't complain about anything Moses asks us to do. Many other people keep on complaining because God has not given them meat as well as manna to eat. Moses prays again to ask God for help. The Lord says you will soon have meat, plenty of it. How can anyone, even God, find meat for all of us in this desert? I don't know, but Moses speaks the truth. He saw the fire die out when he asked God for help. So I believe him when he says God will send us meat. Suddenly the wind begins to blow in from the sea, and with the great flocks of quail that cover the sky like a cloud. As the quail land on the desert, the Israelites pick up all they can carry. Meat! All we can eat! Let's store it up. Let's store up all we can eat later on. How many more baskets do I have to gather? Get as many as you can. At least we'll have all we need. People stuff themselves until many are sick. It serves me right. I was too greedy. Soon after this, the order is given to continue the journey. Once again, a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night lead the people to a campsite closer to their promised homeland. No sooner is camp set up than Moses' own brother and sister turn against him. Moses acts as if he is the only spokesman for God. He seems to forget, Aaron, that you are the high priest. You're right, Miriam. It's time we have a talk with our brother. In anger, they go to Moses. We're tired of having you run everything, Moses. Do you think you are the only one who can speak for God? Didn't God call Aaron to be the high priest? Don't forget, I am a prophetess too. Before Moses can answer, God calls the three of them to the tabernacle. And God speaks from a cloud and tells them that he has chosen Moses to lead the people of Israel. And the cloud disappears. Miriam and Aaron get the shock of their lives. Alright, we'll read one more section. Okay. Revolt from Numbers 12, verse 11 to 14, verse 10. In a fit of jealousy, Miriam and Aaron accused their brother Moses of acting as if he were God's only spokesman. God answers their angry words and tells Miriam and Aaron that Moses is his chosen leader. When God finishes speaking, Miriam discovers she has leprosy, a disease most dreaded by the Israelites. Oh no! Why did I speak against Moses? Help me, help me. We were wrong, Moses. But do not hold it against us, please. Can't you help Miriam? Only God can heal her, Aaron, but I will pray for our sister. Heal her now, O God, I beg of thee. Miriam is healed, but she is banished from the camp for 7 days. On the 7th day, Miriam returns, and Aaron, as high priest, accepts her back into the camp. I have learned my lesson, Aaron. So have I. Let us never again doubt or question God's wisdom. The Israelites continue their journey until they reach the wilderness of Paran. There, Moses orders them to set up camp. Moses calls a man from each of the tribes to attend an important meeting. We are on the border of Canaan, the land God has promised to us. But before we go into it, we must know what lies ahead. What are your plans? We need to explore the land, Joshua. We must find out what the people are like, how many rivers we will have to cross, how well the cities are fortified. It's a dangerous job, but it must be done. Each man here can act as a scout. I'll get started right away. At daybreak, the scouts set out, spreading out to cover the main area of the land before them. Look at that city and the size of those walls. A few miles away, look, giants. There's not a man in our camp who could stand up against one of them. And in a rich valley, the soil must be good, Joshua, to grow such big grapes. Yes, Caleb. Let's go back to camp and tell Moses. The whole camp welcomes the returning scouts. Look at these grapes. They make me think of the fruit we had in Egypt. Other scouts report what they have seen in Canaan. It's a rich country, good crops, but filled with giants and walled cities. I don't like it. We'll never be able to conquer them. Let's go take the land. Yes, with God's help, we can do it. But the other 10 scouts disagree with Joshua and Caleb. No, by the side of those giants, we are as puny as grasshoppers. They'd wipe us out to a man and make slaves of our children. Can't stay here. Can't go into Canaan. What will we do? I say go back to Egypt. God led us here. Trust him and he will help us conquer the land he has promised us. But can we be sure? Where's your courage, men, and your faith in God? There's only one way to stop Joshua's wild talk. And we'll find out what that is tomorrow. We have read our 20 minutes worth for tonight. Okay. What language is it? We watch Thomas, all sorts of different languages. All right. Let's see you learn. All right. Say good night to everybody.